The recent release of the Last of Us series has brought attention once again to the wonderful world of storytelling in gaming, and it has also caused some drama. One TikToker has claimed that gamers were gatekeeping games, and Twitter kind of ran wild with that one. For people who didn't grow up with games in their life, the extent of gaming is Mario Kart, Mario platformers, Fortnite, and Minecraft. So for new gamers, these are some of the games I recommend you check out. Sims and farming sims are life simulators where you live in a particular location and essentially carry out daily tasks. Some of the biggest names in sim games right now is obviously The Sims, which has been around forever, where you can really get into architecture and creating your own houses. You can control one sim or a whole town of sims, it's up to you. Some other big names in sims right now are Stardew Valley, Animal Crossing, and Disney Dreamlight Valley. All of these are kind of similar. They all have farming elements, decorating elements, quest lines where you are helping out your fellow villagers and neighbors. Most of these games don't have any time limits. They're sort of idle. You can just pick them up and put them down whenever you want. Most of these will have seasonal changes, so you'll be restricted on the types of items you can collect or the types of crops you can farm. Generally, these games are very cozy and they're quite popular because you can just play at your own pace. Next, let's dive into some really heavy story games. Story games generally have very little to no combat aspects. Like reading a book, these games aren't free roam, they're generally very linear and you just follow the story's path. What Remains of Edith Finch is a classic and I feel like it's just a game that every gamer needs to play. You play as Edith Finch, who is the last remaining family member of her entire family, and she returns home for the first time to try and uncover the secrets of what happened to each family member. You will get to sort of play out each of their stories. It does have a few horror aspects. It can be a little bit creepy at times, and it can also be a little bit emotional, but an amazing game you need to check out. I can't say any more. I don't want to ruin the story. One game that got popular a while ago, everyone was playing it. It's definitely one you should check out. It's called Firewatch. And like the name says, you take on the role of a watchtower attendant whose job it is to keep an eye on fires, but a lot of other things are happening out in the wilderness. Firewatch has a great way of telling a story with very limited characters because you are out in the isolated wilderness. Most of the story takes place during the day. It is a little bit creepy because you do start to find out that someone might be watching you while you're out there, but it's definitely not horror or scary. Firewatch is a little bit of choose your own adventure because while it does have a little bit of a linear story, you are making choices that affect how things happen throughout the game and how your relationship builds with another watchtower attendant. My last heavy story-based recommendation is Stray. Stray released last year and it also attracted a lot of new gamers because of its adorable furry main character where you play as a cat. Stray is set in a post-apocalyptic world where you play a cat who gets separated from the rest of their litter and you're trying to find your way back. It does take some time to get back as you explore different cityscapes and landscapes. You will get a little bit of free roam in this game in certain areas to explore the towns and the robot characters that are within them, but mostly you are following a linear story. This story is extremely heartwarming, a little bit heartbreaking. I don't want to say too much. There is definitely puzzle elements and there are minor combat elements, so be warned of that, but it really doesn't make up much of the game at all. Exploration and storytelling are definitely the focuses in this game. My next category is puzzle games. One of the more basic games I have on this list is Garden Inn, which is a gardening game where you are essentially a botanist and you are planting and germinating seeds to create new varieties of plants. It's very much an idle game, very relaxing. There's not really a story or anything, and you kind of just get to enjoy decorating and planting. Some more games that step more into puzzle territory are a little to the left, Assemble with Care and Unpacking. A little to the left is all about sorting and organizing. There are so many levels in this game and there also are daily challenges that you can go back and do every single day. Assemble with Care is like playing through an interactive storybook. You take on the life of a young repairwoman who's just moved into a new town and she is getting to know the townspeople and helping them solve their problems. You will find yourself fixing all kinds of trinkets for them, coffee machines, even cooking some soup. If you are literally looking for an interactive short story, this is the game for you. Unpacking is also a story-based puzzle game. Unpacking has a main character that you don't really see, who you are playing as you unpack their life at different stages. You'll start off in childhood and then you'll go through from college to adulthood, and you'll discover what their life is like by unpacking their personal items. It also has puzzle elements where things have to be in particular areas, but you can just free play it and put things wherever you want to. Unpacking also has a heartwarming story of discovering relationships, and is another game that you can definitely just pick up and put down whenever you want. There are no time restrictions, so just take your time and enjoy the experience of unpacking. Strange Horticulture is an occult mystery horticulture game. You are running a horticulture store that you have inherited, and you will sell townspeople plants based on their ailments and how the plant can help. You'll have to discover new plants and learn about them and what they do, but there is also an occult mystery in the town, and this game very much has like escape room features to it. It's very cozy, especially on rainy days in the game. It's also choose your own adventure. The plants that you serve to customers will have different effects, and you decide who is going to get cured and who is not going to survive. This also means that this game has multiple endings, so you can play it through multiple times to decide who lives to the end or not. And finally, Lost in Play. Lost in Play has a very Adventure Time-esque graphic style. It almost feels like it plays out like a comic book. This game is very puzzly, but it has a wonderful theme of exploring childhood imagination. You'll come across all kinds of crazy characters who stand in your way, and you'll have to solve puzzles around them to continue on your adventure. But Lost in Play was one of my favorite games that I played last year, and you'll definitely get a lot of playtime out of it. If you are looking for games that introduce you to a little bit of combat, these are the games that I recommend. A platformer that I recommend is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. It is a recent release and it is a 3D platformer. It's very easy to play. You'll have different difficulty levels to choose from, and it is entertaining for the most new gamer to the most experienced gamer, because they do have more difficult challenges within the game if you choose to take them on. And it also features our famous pink friend Kirby, so a very recognizable character to play with. If you're looking to get introduced to a dungeon crawler type game, I will recommend Cult of the Lamb. This also incorporates some sim and farming sim elements, as you'll have to take care of your cult when you're not fighting in the dungeons. Cult of the Lamb also has difficulty selections, so if you choose easy, you're just going to get a fun, accessible experience. There are also elements in the game that help make the combat easier, depending on what weapons and abilities that you choose to go through with. And you'll get to decorate and take care of your cult members and make them meals. So it's a little bit of combination between sim and dungeon crawler, which can be a really good introduction to that genre. And if you're looking to take on the challenge of something bigger and broader, I suggest jumping into The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This is an award-winning game in the Legend of Zelda series. The world of Breath of the Wild can seem really big to new players, and there is a lot of combat, but it will introduce you to everything quite slowly. I don't think this will be overwhelming for you. The map opens up in segments, so you're exploring bit by bit. It's just not like fully open to you at the beginning. Most of the time you can choose when and where you step into combat situations. For me, Breath of the Wild is a must play, and if you start now, you might be done in time for the sequel Tears of the Kingdom to come out later this year. So those are just a few of my recommendations from my own library that cover a range of different types of games. I know everyone out there has their own recommendations, so if you have a game that is a must play for a new player, please let me know about it in the comments. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. It truly helps, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.